Okay, what happened? What happened inside of you?
I'm anxious.
Hmm?
I'm anxious just looking at them.
Okay, and some people had anxiety. How come?
I felt like I wasn't doing it right. I didn't know what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know what to ask.
You didn't have to ask anything. I said to just be silent. See what you pick up.
It felt easier the third person. Like I felt like I got to enjoy the third person. The other two were all
The other two were
We'd be enjoyed. Yeah.
Did any of your attending bring tears? Hmm. You had some tears going on there. What was that about?
I don't know, I just felt such love for you. I just wanted to embrace you, so I don't know if it's because of everything that you've been going through or just the love God wanted to pour out to you. I'm not sure.
So, in many ways, it wasn't focused, it was partially focused on my need, but it was mostly focused on what you wanted to give. Can you hear that?
The love, you mean?
Yeah.
I think for me, my heart just ached for you.
Huh.
Compassion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You made us cry, Judy.
You made us cry. I don't think so.
No.
What else went on inside of you?
Just laughter at first.
Yeah.
We were just laughing at each other. For a minute.
Yeah, because it feels strange. Doesn't it feel strange
Yeah.
to hold that kind of eye contact? You know, to just be looking at somebody and not taking it away. You kind of think, I hope I wiped my mouth after my dinner. You know, it is so hard to take the focus off ourselves and really be thinking about them. How many of you picked up things about the other person? What did you pick up? Yeah.
When I was with one person, I noticed that like we were standing, like we had different positions, but then like I put my hands in my pocket, she put her hands in her pocket, and I was like, oh, that's like mirroring when people like are like paying attention to you. I was like, score, we're on the same page.
So it felt like a little bit of connectedness. Yeah. Yeah.
The person I talked to was saying how frustrated they were about a situation, but their body language was completely relaxed. So there was like that incongruency going on.
Okay, you could pick up the incongruency. Yeah. Did anybody else pick up incongruency? You know what I mean by that? That they're saying one thing, but they're doing another. Their eyes are really looking at you, but their arms are as stiff as a board, sort of holding onto their legs. You know? You can pick up so much. Could you pick up whether the person was anxious or comfortable? Yeah, you could feel that. How much was your focus on you? That's a good question to ask yourself. How much was your focus on you rather than on them? Okay, now we're gonna, I'm going to, that's enough for that exercise. That exercise just helps us to begin to see this is not easy stuff. Because as soon as we make eye contact, we start to think about what are they going to say, how am I going to respond? Ooh. What if they start to cry? What am I gonna do? Do I need Kleenex in the room? I don't know. But you start thinking about your own provision, your own things, all of that, and you have a hard time thinking about that. Instead of me looking at Justin right now and thinking, that must go very well. You know? And he's smiling. He's holding his hands. You know? But you could begin to just kind of put some things together and see some things, and you learn about somebody. He's not afraid. He's not afraid to wear a Biola t-shirt. Some people wouldn't wear one. They don't want to wear that out in the world. So it says something to me about you. So you can pick up things. Remember, whatever you pick up from attending is never true until the person says it. Okay? Because we all have incredibly active imaginations. Who knows? Justin may have wore that shirt tonight because it was the only one he had left that wasn't dirty. That wasn't too dirty. But learning that we're going to pick up a lot of things as we learn to attend, but they're never true until the person says them for themselves, or otherwise we are building a person that's not sitting in front of us. So be really careful. You want to attend, pay attention to things, particularly if you've seen a person over and over and then they come in and they're really different. Then you want to pay attention to that. So,
Judy,
yeah.
could explain that a little bit more? In other words, why does it make it true because somebody says it?
Until they confirm that that's true of them. That's really what I'm saying. So, I imagine that Justin really values Biola. He wears a t-shirt. You don't wear a shirt if you don't. He likes Cal State Fullerton, okay? Or maybe he went there. But maybe somebody just gave him the shirt because they liked it. And he doesn't like it all that much, but he wears it because he's got a shirt and he wears it. So you want him to be able to say, boy, I value Cal State Fullerton because I went there, I learned a lot, and I got a lot from them. So you don't want to just take what you think something means and make it true. It has to be confirmed by with a person's words, or maybe their actions in some way. Okay, these are all the things you have to pay attention to. Their dress. Is the person neat, groomed, meticulous, disheveled? What were they wearing? What colors were they wearing? Now, why is all that important? What will it tell you about a person? What do bright colors tell you about a person? What kind of personality do they have?
More outgoing. Potentially more outgoing.
Yeah, more outgoing, flamboyant. They're not afraid to wear red. You know? Yeah, we got a couple people with red on in here. They're neat and groomed, or they're not at all. What does not at all tell you about them?
They don't care.
They don't care about themselves. Not just that they don't care for themselves. They don't present themselves in a way that says, I like me. You know, I feel okay about me. That doesn't mean everything has to be perfect. If it's meticulous, I think, boy, a little perfectionist here. You know? But there is a sense where you want to pay some attention to those kind of things because it'll just help you to understand them. You know? A real flamboyant person might even be flamboyant in their speech and say a lot of things that don't have a lot of deeper meaning, but they get it out there because they like your reaction. Okay? They say things for your reaction. When I say this, you all know you've met people like this.
Yeah.
Isn't that true? Okay, another thing you're gonna pay attention to is posture. Where the person walks, where they place their body, what their posture is like, where do they sit in relationship to you? Do they come close to you? If you step towards them, do they step away? You know, if you're in a room where you're actually gonna sit down and have a one-on-one with them, do they sit in the furthest corner from you, or do they sit directly across from you? It'll tell you what? How safe they feel with you. Yeah, how safe. That woman that sat in the corner of the couch, over the years that I saw her, she moved to the middle. She didn't need the sides of the couch anymore. She could be face to face with me and not be afraid. No, she'd be accepted and loved and cared for. And she wasn't clenching things anymore. See, so watching these movements can actually, you can watch the Spirit of God's fruit in their life as those things change. What is this going to tell you? Closed, defensive, maybe,
Cold.
afraid. Cold. Cold might be a little bit more than what they feel with this. But, and how many times do you cross your arms and you mean nothing by it? A lot. See, that's why you have to make sure that that's really going on with them. Because sometimes I just hang out like this, you know, and I'll tell you anything, but this is comfortable right now. Long arms, I don't know what to do with them. My husband's arms are longer than, your arms are supposed to be the same as your height, and my husband's arms are longer than his height. They almost hang to his knees, so, you know, he's got long, long arms. And there is a sense where I think they do that more often. And so, learning some of these things about people, letting them be themselves, but also take note of what you see, because it'll help you know how to be with them. What does eye contact with you mean? What if a person can't hold eye contact with you, or they don't look at you at all? What does that say to you?
They might not be being honest, or they're afraid, or they don't trust you, or.
Yeah. The biggest thing is trust. Trust. They are afraid of what you might say, what you might think of them, probably what you might think of them more than anything else, because they really don't feel comfortable with themselves. And so they can't give you that eye contact. And so that's something that you can watch change when you talk to a person. You'll see a person at church that won't give you eye contact. But if you care for them in the way that I teach you and give them some compassion and ask them some concrete questions, you'll find they start looking at you because they're starting to feel safe. Whereas before, they might just glance at you and maybe say they're fine, move on, or whatever, but they don't give you very much eye contact. You know who gives us the least amount of eye contact usually, because they never get any? Is elderly people. You go into a nursing home, and elderly people feel really uncomfortable when you give them eye contact because they never get it, and it so communicates love to them. You go to a nursing home, look at people squarely. There was a woman from this church who was an artist, and her name was Marilyn Rhodes. Some of you probably knew her. She gave testimonies in the church. She went through cancer and died. She's a good friend of mine. She taught at Cal State Fullerton. She taught art. And she went into the nursing home. It was her mother-in-law, I think, that was there. And she just took her drawing board with her, never even thinking about it that much. And she sat down in front of her and started drawing her. And her mother-in-law just started crying. nobody's looked at me like that for a long time. And so she said, will you draw some of my friends here? And so she just went around and she made a whole portfolio of elderly. And it was in Biola's art, whatever it's called, art center or something. And her whole portfolio and who the people were and what they did in their life and all, she did a wonderful gift of compassion and love to the elderly. But remember that about them. Eye contact is not something you get. Who wants to look at what you're becoming? Do you really want to pay attention to their wrinkles, to their droopy eyes, to their drooling mouths? And still, that's the direction we're all going. But to look there is to see yourself. It's a mirror. And people don't look at them. So eye contact. Have eye contact with people. Gestures. Did they make gestures with their face, with their hands? What were the facial expressions you saw? John, when I was attending to him, didn't cry. But one of the things you really watch for when you're talking to people is that the tears come up in their eyes, and then how do they get rid of them? Do they smile? Do they crack a joke? Do they say something about you? What do they do to make the tears go back down? Men do this a lot. They'll feel tears, but they won't let them flow. It's somehow not masculine to let tears flow. And so there's that sense where you watch, and whenever I see tears come up into an eyes, I will say, what are the tears about? And then they'll flow. As soon as you ask them and pay attention to the tears, I really see you. I see your heart. I see that you have pain right now, or your tears of joy, whatever that might be. They all have to tell you. That's why I don't make a judgment call on the tears. I just ask them, what are the tears about? But almost see that a good, concrete question about something you attended to will bring their heart right to the surface. Bring their heart right to the surface, and suddenly you have something meaty from their heart to begin to explore. Gestures, what facial expressions? People's words and their facial expression. Did you have a question?
Oh, I was just thinking back to eye contact.
Yeah.
And something that when I meet people face to face, and if they're wearing sunglasses, it makes it even very hard to connect on just a short, practical basis. If I'm talking to someone and I can't even see their eyes, then they
What do the
almost
people in
don't.
the mafia always do? Wear sunglasses.
So I just
People you couldn't trust. You know? But yeah, sunglasses really keep you from knowing a person. It's a barrier. It's a barrier. So, wear them to protect your eyes.
okay. No, yes. I'm not saying give
I
them
thought
up.
in my purse. I thought I left them here last night when I was speaking, and I actually, there was a rip in that had gone down into the lining of my purse, you know, so I couldn't find them, but I found them this morning. So, okay, gestures, speech. Note the pattern of and the style and the rate and the rhythm that people speak. What would monotone tell you? They're pretty bored. They're just kind of, or depressed, bored or depressed. What does high and fast mean?
Excited. Or
Excited,
anxious.
anxious? Yeah, excited or anxious, that's how we talk. Suddenly things get really quick and our voice gets higher and because we're excited about something, or we are really anxious about something. And a lot of times when you're talking with someone, you're anxious about something. So you watch that speech and you watch whether the content is appropriate to the way they're talking. They're talking about the saddest thing you've ever heard, and there's not a tear in sight. And there's no sadness in their voice. They're talking about it like it's somebody else's story. You know, you want to pay attention to that. Because what it says is the story is not connected to their heart at that moment. And somehow you have to get a concrete question or a compassion statement that helps connect their story to their heart. Boy, our time's going fast. Behavior. Was the person cooperative? Or uncooperative? Where they tend to be negative or aggressive, apathetic, suspicious, trustful, antagonistic? There's all these different ways that behavior. I remember counseling one gentleman, and it was at a church that gave me a room to do counseling in. We had established a counseling center there, but the room that they gave me had all these swivel chairs in them, and the chair literally would go all the way around. And this man came in because under the duress from his wife that wanted him to come in, and he came in and he sat down and proceeded to quibble about, you know, if he was going to pay me or not, and how much he was going to pay me, and what do psychologists know, and he was very angry. And so he would spit out a sentence and he'd turn around and he was this way. You know? And so, what would you do? I don't know what. You know? What do you do? Now you're talking to a back. Okay, you can't even see the facial features.
Did you turn your back?
Hmm?
Did you turn your back to?
No, because he wouldn't have saw it. So, but what I was able to do is I just reached with my words for his pain. Said, you really dislike being here right now, don't you? And he'd turn around. Yes, and then he would go into a rampage about something again, and he'd turn around again. And he just kept doing that. I kept reaching for his pain. He kept turning around, reaching for his pain and turning around. Finally, he threw his glasses at me and went out the door. Left. And I thought, wow, it's interesting he left me with something of himself. He has to come back.
Yeah, that is interesting.
You know, but people will do and act strange ways just because they're so uncomfortable. And so to recognize things that look uncomfortable, that's what attending is all about. I want to know as much about this person as I look at them so that I have some questions to ask, so that I know where to be compassionate, how to love them, where they need love, where they need safety. That's what the attending is all about. It's to be looking at these things so that you can begin to explore at a deeper level. Those are just manifestations of where their heart is. Whenever you see things and they can't trust, it's because they're somehow, somebody really was untrustworthy to them. And so they apparently weren't trusted, or they were hurt in some way. And so you begin to explore, okay? You notice I haven't even talked about all the things that you're attending. You can look at their mood. What kind of affect do they show? Are they emotional? Are they, you know, do they seem to be pretty happy people or pessimistic people? You know, those kind of things. But you notice I haven't said a thing about content yet. See, that's why this attending is so important, because it will tell you so much. And when they start to speak, you'll already feel like you know them. And so attending is really, really important. What do you listen to in terms of the content? What do you attend to? You attend to the core message and themes. If you were taking an advanced class from me, I teach you about themes. there's a lot of themes in our life, and you look for those themes, but you're gonna listen to them, and you wanna try to figure out what is the core thing that they're saying to you. You wanna, listen for decisions they've made, vows they've made. Decisions like, I decided I would never, da, 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 you know? Or I thought I would always do this. You know, I would always be committed in my marriage, and now I'm not. I would never get divorced, but now I've been served divorce papers. I would never hit my child, but last week I hit my child. Listen for those all or nothing messages. And listen for values. What do they value? Do they value God? Do they value the Word of God? Do they value the important people in their life? Do they value prayer? Do they have a rhythm of prayer? Do they pray? When do they pray? How do they pray? You know, listen for values and decisions, those kind of things. Okay, the last 10 minutes we're going to practice. I'm not going to go